Hello guys, it's Chummas, and here today I have a Beyblade ranking video. I know I said I wasn't going to do these too frequently, but this is a different type of ranking video. Instead of doing a whole series of bays, it's just a line of evolutions, so I figure it should be fine, right? Funny thing, I actually did this type of video before. I did actually rank every Valkyrie, like 3 years ago. More Valkyries have come out. My opinions have definitely changed on them. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into this, because I just want to, rank these Valkyries and, yeah, not waste too much time. First up, ninth, Slash Valkyrie Blitz Power Ritz. This Valkyrie sucks. I'm just going to say, this is easily the worst Valkyrie we've ever gotten. Also the least relevant. There's just no specialty with this layer. I feel like every Valkyrie, since God Valkyries at least had something interesting, this one just doesn't. The disc seems okay, but maybe a little bit weird for Valkyrie the driver. It's just a weird driver, it's whatever. Funny thing, I said this was the best Valkyrie in my last video. That is definitely not the case. I think I was just excited because, the GT system was new and cool at the time. But yeah, it's not exactly the best Valkyrie, I would say. Anyways, moving on to something a little more interesting. Number 8, Savior Valkyrie Shot 7. Savior Valkyrie was definitely a controversial Valkyrie, and I think from a top view, just looking at it like this, it's a half-decent looking Valkyrie. You have, of course, the rubber here, these little parts that can awaken, but then it has this bound gimmick, which, while very good for stamina defense combos, this is an attack type. That is awful for attack combos. This thing just, when it hits something, just does that, like, every time. It's terrible. Now, this isn't a competitive tier list, but still, just, it kind of ruins it a little bit, because it's a cool looking Valkyrie, but it just bursts itself instantly. It has the 7 armor, which is probably the worst armor. I don't like 7. Shot is a disc driver fusion. The idea is that it starts off like this, and then early in the battle it will jump, and then it goes more aggressive. It just feels like a weird Valkyrie. I think it's cool. It's definitely a cool enough Valkyrie, but it's also just a little bit too out there, in my opinion, to really compare with a lot of these other Valkyries. So I put it here at 8th. It's definitely a huge step up from Slash and a lot closer to other Valkyries, but yeah, it's just not the best. Coming in at number 7, we have Winning Valkyrie at 12, Volcanic. This is a really weird one, and I was actually kind of not sure where to put this guy. Because, here's the thing. This layer is actually really cool. It's really nice, Valkyrie has like a really cool shape for a Valkyrie. Has a ton of metal. I like this middle design here. It's a really, really cool looking Valkyrie, at least for the layer. Then you look underneath and, 12 disc is awful. No frame, which sucks. Volcanic is kind of like Power, where it's just like a weird, random sort of driver that just doesn't really need to exist. And, yeah, as a whole combo, it's just kind of whatever. The layer's really cool, though, which is why I put this above Savior, but it's not the best Valkyrie. It's still solid enough, but it's just not the best. I'll just leave it at that. Number 6, God Valkyrie 6 Vortex Reboot. So God Valkyrie is another weird Valkyrie. I think the layer looks pretty cool. I like the red in the center here. Has a bound gimmick. This time it doesn't instantly burst a bay. But of course, it kind of just does this. And that's all it does. It doesn't do a whole lot more. It's not the most effective thing, but it doesn't instantly burst it. So I guess that's an improvement from Savior. 6 Vortex works well enough. Looks nice with the red. Reboot is an interesting driver. It, starts off less aggressive, then eventually becomes more aggressive. It's a pretty solid Valkyrie and definitely a great introduction to the God series, but I don't know. This bay just for some reason doesn't do it for me. I don't know what it is about it. Yeah, there's also Strike God Valkyrie, which is a little bit different. Of course, has a Strike God chip, which will then lock this in place, and then you have Ultimate Reboot instead of Reboot. It's not that much different than this Valkyrie, so I didn't really count it separately. But if y'all know my opinions on it, it's just like very slightly better than this one. That's all I could say. Alright, number 5, the midpoint of the list. I think this is a solid midpoint here. And that is, of course, Valkyrie Wing Excel. This is the original Valkyrie from way back in 2015, which somehow is already 7 years ago at this point. But yes, you of course have this original Valkyrie design, wing, and Excel. It's a very basic bay, there's not a whole lot to it, but I feel like, you know what? It was a great start to the Burst series. It's still an iconic look for this bay. And I can respect it. It was simple, but very cool at the same time. Honestly weird to hold this bay after holding all the newer ones, but yeah, still very cool. Number 4, what is kind of just a better version of that, that's just more interesting, it is going to be Victory Valkyrie Boost Variable. Victory Valkyrie, I think, is one of the dual layers that is a pretty big improvement over the basic layer. I am conflicted on some of them. I think some basic layers look better than some dual layers, but this one, yeah, no, this is just a more iconic design. Definitely a lot more interesting. Just more going on in general. Boost just kind of feels similar to Wing in a lot of ways. It's just kind of like that, I guess. Nothing crazy. Variable, much more iconic. Excel's very basic, so I do prefer Variable. Overall, I mean, yeah, it's just a very iconic looking Valkyrie. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a classic, and definitely one of the best. However, now that we've gotten all those out of the way, I feel like we get to some of the craziest Valkyries. I think that these next two are like, they could have ended on both of these Valkyries. I think they would have been perfectly serviceable stopping points. So first up here we have number 3. That is, of course, Chozy Valkyrie Zenith Evolution. Alright, Chozy Valkyrie. The layer's weird. It's a very kind of thick, like, weird layer. The attack points aren't as defined, but I feel like it kind of works here. This works for sort of like a special, of course, the whole Chozy Awakening system. It works as like this weird special Valkyrie. Had they ended on this thing, I would have been fine with that. I think the Zenith disc is really cool, pairs well with the layer, and Evolution, callback to Variable. I think, you know, this is definitely a very, very good Valkyrie. And again, they could have ended on this one, I'd say. But yeah, I don't know. It's just really nice. The burst stoppers, I think, felt like kind of a last, like a very late game gimmick. And just a nice Valkyrie overall. I know some people don't like this one because of its shape, but yeah, it's cool enough. Number 2, probably a fan favorite Valkyrie. Probably a lot of people's favorite. Had it ended on this Valkyrie, I would have been perfectly fine because it was just such a strong Valkyrie, and that is, of course, Brave Valkyrie Evolution Dash to Attack. Yeah, this thing, just looking at it, it just looks like a kind of a classic, strong, you know, Valkyrie. Looks very cool. To Attack, I think, looks very good with this bay. Of course, Evolution Dash. I mean, makes sense. Got the rubber, like the harder rubber here. Got a little bit of softer rubber, slightly softer here. Dash driver, first time Valkyrie gets a dash driver. I mean, come on, it's like, I mean, Brave Valkyrie is definitely a fan favorite Valkyrie. It just looks very cool, and yeah, definitely could have been the last one. Honestly, had Savior been the last one, I would have been sad that this one wasn't, but luckily Savior is not the final Valkyrie. Because number 1, I think this is just the most fitting one. It's hard for me to debate this. Like, this instantly was my favorite, and I don't think that's just because of recency bias, especially that it's been out for a few months now. Number 1, Ultimate Valkyrie Legacy Variable Dash 9. I mean, just look at this thing. It is a callback to, of course, our original Valkyrie here in terms of shape. I mean, that's crazy. This thing is packed with references from every Valkyrie. It looks crazy. It has these rubber blades, and they're based on the first Valkyrie, which is just crazy. I never would have thought they went back to... I can't talk. Hold on a second. I never would have thought that they would have went back to this sort of style of blades, but they did. Now, I guess they could maybe do one more Valkyrie in BU, but I kind of doubt it. I think this is just a perfect stopping point. The layer looks great. The disc is basically a DV version of Boost. Makes a lot of sense. As you know, comes from Victory Valkyrie, one of the most iconic Valkyries, and then Variable Dash again. It's an iconic driver, and seeing it in a dash form on a modern Valkyrie makes a lot of sense. Even though I know competitively people don't like it because it scrapes, but it just makes sense. But yeah, that is Ultimate Valkyrie. It's just definitely the best of Valkyrie of all of them, in my opinion, anyway. So yeah, that is my ranking of the Valkyries and just kind of what I like about them and what I maybe don't like about them. I feel like that was sort of a bare, and I don't want to say a bare bones like ranking. I think I described them well enough. Again, let me know if you guys want me to make any improvements to these types of videos. I mean, this is like my second one, and it's a lot different than the previous one, so let me know if there's more to do with these, or if I should talk more about different aspects of them. Let me know. But anyways, that's all for this video, so thanks for watching, and bye.